violence or no other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Now to a scary incident that could have turned tragic at Dallas's Love Field. Police say a 37-year-old woman fired several gunshots, possibly into the ceiling, near the Southwest Airlines ticket counter.
Wow. And I've told you guys before, you know you have a huge problem in your community, but in this case, in your community, when the women are starting to shoot ish up, okay? These super female gremlins are on demon time.
A nearby officer shot and wounded her. Brooke Rogers from our CBS Dallas-Fort Worth station has the latest.
Tower, Chapter 5. Looks like we have a scene on the west side of the airfield. Looks like a shooting close by.
Gunshots at Dallas Love Field Airport late this morning sent passengers inside and out into hiding, stopping all flights for several hours.
It was crazy, man, because it was like chaotic.
All of a sudden, we heard people run.
37-year-old Portia Odufuwa, who had been arrested for burglary in 2019, went into the bathroom near the Southwest ticket counter, put on a hoodie, and exited and began firing shots into the air.
At this point, we don't know where exactly the individual was aiming. For the most of what we're seeing now, she was aiming at the ceiling, but there was several rounds that are found.
A Dallas police officer on scene shot Odufuwa below the waist.
Hey, so, I mean, at least he didn't aim center mass and put 60 in her, right? Shot her below the waist. So, you know, can you really complain at this point?
Injuring her and taking her into custody. No one else was hurt. A witness says Odufuwa was yelling about her husband having an affair before she started firing.
She was gonna blow the effing airport up, and then she just basically had a hood, and she pulled the gun from underneath her hood, fired the first shot up, and then it's kind of scattered after that. We were just basically getting out, you know, trying to get safe.
Now, Texas state law does allow gun owners with a concealed license to carry weapons here in the general terminal area. It is not clear whether the suspect had a permit. She's not yet been charged.
And, you know, knowing the community, most likely she didn't.
Major?
KTVT's Brooke Rogers, thank you so much.
Yesterday, July 25th, at 10:57, Portia Odufuwa, 37 years old, arrived at Love Field Airport and exited a red Kia sedan. The preliminary investigation shows Odufuwa entered the terminal and walked into the restroom. About 5 minutes later, the suspect left the restroom wearing a black hoodie with the hood over her head and her hands in her front pockets.
Wow.
The suspect walked from the bathroom to the Southwest Airlines ticketing area and says she has an announcement to make.
They got the whole thing on camera. And this is a terroristic act. This is a terroristic act and should be treated as such. But obviously, they're going to deal with her with kid gloves. And I don't think they're going to prosecute her to the fullest extent of the law, especially since she discharged the firearm but didn't shoot anybody. So,
witnesses say Odufuwa started to ramble, talking about a marriage, incarceration, and that she was going to blow up the airport, and then pulls a handgun from her sweatshirt. At 11:06, she pointed the gun towards the ceiling and fired multiple rounds.
Wow.
Officer Ronald Cronin, a 15-year veteran of the Dallas Police Department, was in the immediate area.
Wow. And this is a self-deletion by cop, or attempted self-deletion by cop. And as you can see, the glider cop right here drew his firearm and they got her in the hip.
And engaged Miss Odufuwa, giving verbal commands to drop the weapon. At 11:06 and 50 seconds, Odufuwa pointed her gun at Officer Cronin and an innocent bystander. At 11:06 and 51 seconds, Officer Cronin took cover behind a ticket kiosk and fired his department-issued weapon, striking the suspect multiple times. Officer Cronin held his position.
Hey, shout out to this officer too. He was moving very tactical. Okay. He didn't panic. He took the shot and he hit his target.
And other Dallas Police Department officers arrived to take the suspect into custody. Officers started first aid and called Dallas Fire Rescue for assistance. Odufuwa was taken to a local hospital for treatment where she underwent surgery for her injuries. While processing the scene, law enforcement partners found rounds in Odufuwa's weapon indicating that she had shot at Officer Cronin. Odufuwa has been charged with aggravated assault against a public servant, and other federal charges are possible.
Yeah, she needs to get some, that's not enough. Aggravated assault, nah. She needs some terroristic threats. They need to throw her behind in Guantanamo, honestly. Matter of fact, send her over there with Brittany Griner.
The investigation determined Odufuwa's weapon had a capacity of 15 plus 1. She had 5 left in the magazine, and 3 casings were at the scene. The weapon was not registered to her. Today, this morning, at about 10:59, a 37-year-old woman gets dropped off, goes inside near the ticket counters in front of Southwest, goes at one point into a restroom, exits the restroom. Now she's either put some sort of hoodie on or some other different type of clothing than she had when she walked in. At some point, simultaneously, one of our officers is in the area. She produces a handgun and begins firing.
Wow. And y'all heard what they said in the last clip. The weapon was not in her name, so it's safe to say that she probably didn't have a concealed carry. And this is just a nut job female who pretty much went into the airport and, you know, tried to do an awful thing. But obviously she wasn't built for that. Otherwise she wouldn't have shot in the air and she would actually clap somebody.
At this point, we don't know where exactly the individual was aiming. For the most of what we're seeing now, she was aiming at the ceiling. But there was several rounds that are found. Simultaneously, as she's doing that, our officer engages the suspect, strikes her in the lower extremities. She's taken into custody and is currently at Parkland Hospital. No other individuals were injured in this event other than the suspect, who again is at Parkland. That's all we have right now, but we wanted to ensure that our community knows that this is not an active situation. We want to make sure our community knows that there are no other passengers, family members, or people in the airport that have been that are victims, and that's what we get at this time. Thank you very much.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
Dallas police released dramatic new images in the moments leading up to and during the shooting inside Love Field. The suspect was shot and now is charged with aggravated assault for shooting a DPD officer, an officer that Police Chief Eddie Garcia says saved lives and prevented more injuries. Here's David Goins.
We found Sumlatai Rose in the same spot she found herself in 24 hours ago, inside the Love Field ticket lobby.
At first, it was very traumatic.
She was one of dozens of passengers checking in when Portia Odufuwa pulled out a gun and started firing. Chaos that kept her in Dallas an extra day and left her with questions.
How she even got a handgun?
It was not registered to her. Obviously, she got it from somebody else. But
So obviously this is not a law-abiding gun owner. The firearm was not registered to her. She got it from somebody else. And this just goes to show that the gun laws really aren't going to do anything to stop people from possessing these weapons. What we need to teach is more responsibility. We also need to keep violent offenders in prison. This woman actually had a lengthy criminal history, but we all know that women serve 20% less time than men of all ethnicities.
We're trying to figure out precisely where the origin of that firearm came from.
Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia says Odufuwa wasn't legally able to possess a firearm. At an afternoon briefing, he released a variety of video angles from Love Field surveillance that shows the 37-year-old getting out of an Uber and then walking into the ticket lobby. You can see her walking around inside here with a hoodie pulled tight over her head. And then after making what police describe as rambling threats, she pulls out a gun. Passengers then fall to the floor after hearing her fire towards the ceiling. Dallas police officer Ronald Cronin, who already had noticed her erratic behavior, was just feet away.
Shout out to that officer.
You can see him from this angle behind a ticket kiosk, waving passengers to safety and then moving in closer. Police say he fired 8 to 9 times, hitting Odufuwa multiple times.
If you look at what that officer had to do with regards to, quite frankly, shooting over some people, trying to get a line of sight, as you can see him kind of trying to find the perfect angle to get a shot at him as quickly as he did.
Stay down! And in this angle from the officer's body camera, you can clearly see a bullet hole in the ticket kiosk. Garcia says that came from his officer's gun. Investigative teams later Monday found a bullet that indicated that the officer was shot at too. Garcia says his officer's actions epitomize bravery and courage. Tonight, DPD and the FBI still want to learn why Odufuwa came to Love Field with a gun. And Rose just wants to get home.
I'm just planning to go straight through security today. I'm not lingering out here.
At Love Field, David Goins, NBC5.
Right here on live. Ready to go? All right, there's just a couple things that I want to start off with. Number one, we're going to tell you the facts as we know it to this point. Not only might they change, they probably will as we look into this investigation even further. But I'm going to tell you what I know at the current time. The second part about it is at this time, we will not be taking any questions until we get all the facts of the case. But today, this morning, at about 10:59, a 37-year-old woman gets dropped off, goes inside near the ticket counters in front of Southwest, goes at one point into a restroom, exits the restroom. Now she's either put some sort of hoodie on or some other different type of clothing than she had when she walked in. At some point, simultaneously, one of our officers is in the area. She produces a handgun and begins firing. At this point, we don't know where exactly the individual was aiming. For the most of what we're seeing now, she was aiming at the ceiling.
Like I said, she probably wasn't about that life. To do a mass casualty shooting. I don't know if this was her acting out, doing it for attention. I have no clue, but the reality is we have sisters in the community who are straight out of order. Now, we talk about these super gremlins often, the male super gremlins, but these super female gremlins are on demon time.
But there was several rounds that are found. Simultaneously, as she's doing that, our officer engages the suspect, strikes her in the lower extremities. She's taken into custody and is currently at Parkland Hospital. No other individuals were injured in this event other than the suspect, who again is at Parkland. That's all we have right now, but we wanted to ensure that our community knows that this is not an active situation. We want to make sure our community knows that there are no other passengers, family members, or people in the airport that have been that are victims, and that's what we're at this time. Thank you very much.
Is the airport on lockdown still?
En español, a las 10:59 por esta mañana.
All right, that was a very quick
Man, he spun around, came back, spun around, did it in Spanish. Okay. All right. Now, guys, we have even more bizarre news about this woman. Apparently, she says that she claimed to be Chris Brown's wife. Obviously, she had a lengthy criminal history. And she also claimed to be God's prophet. Now, I don't know if she's talking about the sixth God, which is the God below, which we all know that a lot of these sisters out here worship that God, okay, which I broke down in the abortion video. But yes, these women are claiming to, or this woman is claiming to be the husband of Chris Brown and the sixth God's prophet, okay? So Let's break it down. The accused female shooter at Dallas Love Field Airport has a lengthy criminal history and had previously told police that she was God's prophet and was married to R&B singer-songwriter Chris Brown. Over the past several years, 37-year-old Portia Odufuwa, which Chris Brown would never marry a 37-year-old woman way past her prime and way past the wall, has faced charges including arson, robbery, criminal trespassing, and false reporting in cities across North Texas. But in many of those incidents, judges deemed her incompetent to stand trial. She was referred to either or both inpatient or outpatient mental health services, and the cases were dismissed. That's BS. So just because they're unfit to stand trial and they are mentally ill, you can't prosecute them? Like, that's some BS. So you just throw them back out on the streets, and this is what she did, or this is what she does. I wonder how well these judges sleep at night, or if they sleep at all, because a lot of these judges have blood on their hands, okay, along with MLK Boulevard. But that's neither here nor there. The Dallas Morning News has reported, and as recently as last summer, a Dallas County judge ruled she was not a danger to others. Before she allegedly changed her clothes in the airport bathroom, pulled out a gun near a ticketing counter, and opened fire in the ceiling at about 11 a.m., Monday court records show Odufuwa had allegedly pulled a gun on a hotel front desk clerk in April 2021 at a time when she was homeless. Wow. So this woman is all full of surprises, and this is her, as you can see. We're not going to get into the rest of the article because, I mean, she's pretty bonkers. This is Looney Town. It's obvious to see that the light skin privilege did not work out well for her, and I hope this time they keep her behind locked up. Guys, be safe when you're traveling. Be safe when you're flying. Stay vigilant. Look for, things that stand out. Because I'm telling you right now, like I said in the beginning of the video, in the community, if the women are acting out, then we have a huge problem. These super female gremlins are on demon time.
So it is what it is.